Alrighty, Mr. Gatekeeper here. I have a brand new Xforce 2x6 bass, and basically a local said he ordered the box and hooked it up. The first time he keyed, he saw some smoke. And I pretty much figured out why that happened. But like it was just something from shipping. I think some couple of strands of solder that got bounced around in there and was kind of appeared to be touching the collector to base, collector to emitter, or collector to ground. It looked like to me. That's about the only sense, because one of the capacitors on the feedback circuit on that transistor looked like it had actually caught fire. And I will show that to you. It's over there. But anyway, I had to switch some things around with this box, and I got my hot radio hooked up on the meter, which I don't ever show because I don't ever have it all hooked up to where I can show that easily. I usually have the 10-watt slug in the input there, but I already have this hooked up from something I was doing earlier. So, and I've had a couple people ask too, why don't you ever show your hot radio? So I'll show the hot radio now. It's a Stickman modified, Stickman comp tune. It actually does way more, does more than 8 watts RMS. I wanted to double the power that I'm putting in on my bench radio, which is up under here, which is a factory, let's see where, up under there, yeah. I don't know if you can see it. I don't think so. It's just a 4-watt radio, my bench radio. Limiter's still in. Everything's the modulation's just turned up to 100% in it. That's it. Still stock, all stock. And I just wanted to double the output. So basically, what I did is I went to this power supply right here and turned the pot down on the voltage till it did exactly about 8 watts RMS. So it's sitting like at about 11.8 volts, somewhere around there. Anyway, 10-watt slug. Do ya. Got about a 2-watt dead key. Do ya. So right there about 8 watts. The reason why I've got that turned up to a 2-watt dead key is on the back of this box it says do not exceed 1 watt dead key input, 35 watt swing into it, which that's quite low. I can't believe they're pretty much saying 1 watt dead key max. But anyway, 1 watt dead key max gives this box absolutely no dead key. There's pretty much an attenuator, some input padding on it, which is causing that to happen. So I was basically just wanting to turn the dead key up to 2 watts. And if I still don't see a dead key or a good dead key with that, I'm going to have to play around with the input padding. But we'll be back. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it be. I'll show you why. 2-watt dead key is giving about 100 watts, so I'm just going to leave that be. I'm not going to mess around with the attenuator circuit at all. Just leave that be. Okay, we got 8 watts going in. Okay, 1000-watt slug RMS. So we're able to get right there about 600. 600 RMS, which is good. But we're having to drive 8 watts RMS into it, which is about 15 watts over what it's saying on the back that we should be driving into it. Okay, here's your peak. 2500 watt slug. Okay, we're reading the top scale. Just a hair under 1500 watts, right there about 1400. Okay, and these are all DEI transistors. I'd like to point that out. He thought he was getting a brand new box with the PP100s in it and the fans on the back, but that wasn't what he got, supposedly. The switchers in here, one of them is kind of noisy. They do make those noises. Usually, from what I've noticed so far, I don't have a lot of experience with the switchers, but usually I've noticed they make that noise when there's no load being pulled on them. But even when a load's on it, either that one or I don't know if it's one or all that is still making that noise. I know they are. Arlen has it internally. Well, externally, in a sense, regulated at a specific voltage, about 15.4, and has that up under the board there. So I don't know if that's why it's making that noise or not. I'm not going to worry about it too much because it is doing the output. It does not seem to be having a problem doing that, which is the output's pretty good with these DEIs like that. It just kind of noisy, it's making a weird noise. I'm sure you can hear it. I don't know, the fan kind of drowns it out. But anyway, let's pop the tin off and let you see what I had to do in this bad boy. You got lucky, man. I thought you blew out at least 3 or 4 of the DEIs, man, but you got lucky. All right, we'll be back. I'm gonna pop the tin off this thing. All right, Mr. House Builder. This is what I'm talking about by the one of the capacitors on the feedback circuit literally caught fire. Come on now, focus. These phones just don't focus the way they should. That's got something to do with the background of it. Let's see. There we go. Sorry about the nasty hands, man. I work with my hands, can't help it. So anyway. So yeah, that caught fire there for a second. And got your balancing resistors on the output combiner. 2 of them are completely charred and blown, and this one was getting very hot. And that's how I could tell it just wasn't the problem. The problem wasn't just a blown transistor. One blown transistor is not going to cause all the output balancing resistors to all blow like that. Normally you're going to get one that blows, and it's going to be from a 2 transistor section, and but not one transistor blowing and blowing off 3 like that. So that's how I could tell we were dealing with probably a short of some sort somewhere. And I took every one of these transistors out, even the 2290s, just to be safe. And I also cleaned up real well. Alrighty, sorry about that. I ran out of space. Excuse me, battery. But anyway, what I believe helped to kind of help play havoc with this issue that happened here is I could tell the heatsink compound was heavily thrown on these transistors up under them, because I could see heatsink compound pretty much smeared everywhere. I did not really clean up the heatsink compound on the 2290, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Let's zoom in right there. You see how it's kind of smeared up there. I'm sure using a little extra just to make sure these devices, you know, the heat dissipated pretty good. But the only problem with that is, with that sitting in between each transistor like that, there's a greater chance of anything like some a stray solder or a piece of wire or something will stick to it a lot easier. And that's what looked like it had possibly happened. I'm saying possibly because I can't say it's 100%, but I did find a pretty thick piece of solder that was laying on the collector, kind of wedged in between the transistor there on this one right here. Okay, and luckily I had one brand new DEI tested of the same lot, and you know, I can't promise that it matches 100% with the other ones, but they did the same lot and tested. And of course, I know a lot of you already know with DEIs you're taking a risk anyway. That's just the way it is. But I thought I'd at least get it repaired, man, and get it working as it as it should have. You know, things happen during shipping, but I do want to point this out. I did find a great amount of stray solder beads, and let me see if I can zoom in right here. All right, you see up under that transformer right there? The solder bead right there. Let's see if I can't snag it up while I'm on here. There we go. See, I mean, that's just something that happens. I done pulled 3 of them up just sitting here before I started recording, and I've pulled a lot more up, probably about 10 or 15 of them. Thing about that is it's just something naturally that happens when you're sitting there soldering. A bead of solder can actually kind of shoot away from your tip and just land pretty close to the area where you're soldering. And it's just something naturally that happens. It's, you know, sometimes it's hard to get them all. You just kind of got to sit there and examine the whole build, you know, from every angle, trying to pick up those pieces. Usually those tiny little balls, that ain't going to cause a problem if they get bouncing around. They're usually not big enough to cause a short or anything, but there was that kind of thick piece. It almost kind of like a shaving to me from when the holes were drilled in this box or whatever. But anyway, we got her back up and running for you, Mr. House Builder. We only had to give you one transistor, replace one transistor, so you got lucky, bud. When I seen those 3 balancing resistors, man, I just knew you had blown every dang pill in the whole box somehow or another. But you're good to go, man. There's the input padding slash attenuator I was talking about. Basically what that is, that's a 50 ohm attenuator to ground. I don't know the dB right off the top of my head. I have to look at my chart, but anyway. So that's shunting a lot of that RF coming into the driver circuit to ground right there. So I know they're just trying to keep things safe with these DEIs. I completely understand that. If I had enough HGs, man, I probably would have replaced them all with HGs for you. But if you have any problems with them, man, in the near future, just give me a holler. And maybe we can swipe these DEIs out and replace them with some HGs or some Toshibas. That'd be great. I always primarily would like a Toshiba, but it ain't going to be around much longer. So we got to adapt to the next level of things any way we can. All right, bud. I think I covered pretty much everything there. So we're going to get the top on here, man, get the screws back in here and give you a holler and let you come pick it up. Oh, gatekeeper, northeast end of Georgia. Oh, I almost forgot. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Chris for sending me this bad A lighter for my celebration cigarettes. Usually don't light up afterwards, but celebration cigarette and I'm gone.